Want to know some of the real estate hacks we've learned over the years? Watch this. I'm Kyle Wong with Moxie, Colorado.
I'm Corey Martin with Edge Home Finance.
Thank you for joining us again. Welcome back to the Innovator, the Imitator, and the Idiot. And of course, if you guys have any questions, give us a call using the link in the description. So, like I said in the beginning, we're talking about real estate hacks that we think everybody should know. And as professionals in the industry, going on several years now of collective experience, uh, we want to share that with you.
Yeah.
All right,
So
go
there
ahead.
we go. So sorry. So one of the first things that I think people should know if they are looking to like kind of find a house hack, life hack, if you will, about purchasing a home is did you know you could use your commission as a realtor as the down payment on your home? So, huh, oh my man. So how this works, right? So, let's say you're looking to purchase a home, $100,000 home, and as an agent, you are looking to get. You can expect to get a 3% commission on this on the purchase of this home, right? 3% of $100,000 would be. Let me get my that's $3,000. All right, so you could use that $3,000 as a part of your down payment for the purchase of that home. So let's say the minimum down payment for this loan scenario is 5% for a conventional loan, and so now you would only need another $2,000 to come up with to purchase this home. Let's say that you're talking about an FHA loan, right? So now we're looking at 3.5% down. Well, then now you're only looking at an extra $500 to come up with to put down on the purchase of this home. And so in this scenario, again, you are a licensed agent, and so you would have to go in and take the classes that are necessary to become a real estate agent, pass the real estate exam, pay all the appropriate fees, and be registered with the Department of Regulatory agencies here in Colorado, DORA. So certainly, some work to do there, but in this scenario, you would absolutely be able to, you'd go ahead, get your license, and then use your commission as your down payment.
Yeah, and this is actually the exact method that I plan on using for myself, that I am using for myself. And, obviously there is the whole hang up, hey, are you a real estate agent as of right now? Or I did talk to my managing broker about this. If you were to reduce your agent's commission and then put that towards a down payment, that would work as well. So finding somebody to do that for you, that's a whole other thing, but it is possible. So on the same note of buying a home, we've seen the market heat up quite a bit again. It's kind of giving people PTSD from 22 and 21 and 20 again. But we're seeing, again, cash offers going quite a bit over asking. So writing up an aggressive offer, writing a competitive offer is super important, right? So a couple things you can do. Corey, you can talk more about the financing and appraisal aspect on this, but appraisal gap language. So in the scenario where you have a house, you bid over asking, and the house doesn't appraise for the value that you're offering at, writing in something to your offer that assures the sellers, hey, we can close on this regardless without asking you to lower the sales price. We're going to bring the cash to close because that's what you have to do as the buyer. We're just shortening up dates, right? We're going to do a 3-week close as opposed to a typical 30-day close because we're confident, we're ready, we can get things done. Or limiting the inspection, right? Saying, I'm only going to object to anything on the inspection that comes up if it's related to health and safety, or if the cost to fix that is over $1,000 or anything like that. Or something I wouldn't necessarily recommend, but if you're confident, hey, by all means, just waiving the inspection outright. That's a tough one
That's
though.
oh man, that's it's a very bold option. But to kind of recap the what Kyle was talking about when you're talking about an aggressive offer, the first option that he said was an appraisal gap language. So now we're saying, hey, if the home is listed at we'll just use $100,000. If the home is listed at $100,000, but it only appraises at $90,000, well, where's that extra $10,000 going to come from? You
Yeah.
know, you could make your offer, your contract offer, that much more appealing to the sellers by saying, "Hey, look, even if the home appraises under what it's listed at, I'm going to bring those extra funds to closing. So no matter what, you're going to get what this home is listed at." The
Yep.
other option would be just being really aggressive on when you close. Hey, I thought it was interesting. You mentioned just instead of your standard 30-day close, I mean, there was times where it was 6 weeks, right? 2 months to close on a home. So now we're saying, look, let's go ahead and get after it after 3 weeks. We can close aggressively on this. This is something that you absolutely want to speak with your lender about. As a lender, we've certainly had those conversations around the office where it's like, oh man, I can't believe this guy wrote up this offer to close on this home in 2.5 weeks. That's not possible. It's not something we can do. Or 3 weeks, but the appraisal deadline is a week from closing, or whatever the case is, right? So certainly want to speak with your lender before you do that, and then limited or waiving the inspection. So that's another aggressive way to another aggressive part of your contract offer. You can just say, hey, look, I don't care about the inspection. No matter what, we're still going to purchase this home. Again, something that you want to speak with your agent about, the quick closing thing or appraisal gap thing. That's something you want to speak with your lender about. Limited or waiving the inspections, please, please, please speak with your agent about it. Don't just throw that out there just to do it.
Yeah. And again, if you need a super awesome local lender in Colorado, boy, we know a guy. Can he close in 3 weeks? Yeah, maybe even sooner.
Yes, he can. Yes, he can. This is something that part of the way we do that, though, is just making sure that we do all of our legwork on the front end, getting all of your information, having a very clear conversation and plan for how we're going to get you into the home, how we're going to, how the home is going to appreciate value afterwards. We're able to aggressively close or write aggressive offers with aggressive closing dates because we do all of our heavy lifting on the front end.
Yep, absolutely. And that being said, as you guys know, if you're a seller, I mean, they usually only want two things: better terms, or they just want more money, right? And so that being said, there are fewer hangups if you do an all cash offer, if you have that ability. Most of us don't, but if you do, that can be the difference between getting the offer or losing out to somebody else. So that's something else to consider. Another thing is, we haven't noted that if you're buying a property that needs major renovations, you can consider a 203K loan, which allows you to roll the cost of the renovations into your mortgage. And so speak to that a little bit. I'm not super familiar with those.
Absolutely. So if you are buying a property, that maybe isn't in the condition that that it just needs renovations, right? It is, somewhat distressed somehow. Maybe the exterior needs some sort of work. Maybe there's flooring that needs work. Maybe there's roofing that needs work. What you can do is you can apply for a FHA 203K loan. That allows you to roll in all of the costs of the renovations into the loan. And so now you're actually able to be, not only, aggressive with the loan, but or with your offer, but have the confidence that, the offer that or the property that you're purchasing isn't going to be the property that you're living in, right? The flooring, the roof, whatever the work that needs to get done is you're going to know that work is going to get done because you already have the financing in place to get that work done, right?
Yeah.
Versus purchasing a property and not having that financing in place. I've purchased this $100,000 property, but it needs $30,000 worth of work. I've only been approved for $100,000. Where am I going to get this extra $30,000 from? So that's another option for you, as far as being able to write an aggressive offer or no, I'm sorry, a house hack for purchasing a home.
Yeah. Yeah. The other thing is, on my end, I know of quite a few tips after having been in a couple of different hot markets now. We've seen some ebbs and flows, even just over the past few months, but also over the past couple of years. So, looking for properties, if you're trying to get into one, looking for properties that have been on the market for a while or have been recently reduced in price. So,
Mhm.
as you guys know, as the buyers, you see houses flying off the shelves. You know it's crazy. You're getting beat out by offer after offer. Um, but there are some houses that just sit on the market. It always begs the question, why, right? What's wrong with it? What's going on with it? Is something going on with the seller, stuff like that. So typically you kind of get this idea in your head that if something's been sitting and nobody else has taken it, what's wrong? Or I've seen in a couple cases where a house has been pending and then it's been active, under contract, and then it's been active, right? And so it makes you wonder, is there something that's not immediately obvious or something like that? But it's worth the question, right? Maybe there is just some aesthetic things. There's like a layout that people don't like, or maybe there's a bigger issue where there's a foundation issue, or there's roof damage, or whatever it may be. Keep an eye out for those properties because you may be able to get a good deal on those. Or, for example, pre-foreclosure homes, you can often find a decent deal on those. I know oftentimes, especially if it's a short sale situation, they just need to get out of the property for a certain number and they can't go below that. So there may not be a ton of room to negotiate, but at least hey, they're motivated to sell, right? So whatever offer you can give them above that price, they're probably going to bite, right? So keeping those things in mind, and then just other little tips when it comes to homes. Often buyers just miss out on simple things, right? Agents, this is what I also hate, when agents just don't want to write offers. Write the offer. If a client says like, "Hey, I want to like lowball this like crazy," what do you think they'll say? It doesn't matter what your agent thinks they'll say. Like, you can tell them what you think they'll say. Maybe they're going to say go kick rocks, but you know what? Write up the offer, because the worst thing they're going to say is no. That's it.
That's your job,
So
agents.
yeah, exactly. Write up the offer, ask them for it. I mean, I'm just now under contract on a house where it's a new build in a hot market. We went in $1,000 under asking. And again, I feel like I'm telling the same story over and over, but it works, right? You just have to ask. $1,000 under asking, again, on a new build. And we asked for $10,000 in concessions. Originally, we were going to go in with five, and my buyers are like, "Hey, can we do more?" And I'm like, "Of course we can do more." Worst they can say is no. Was going to write in 7,500, and then I'm like, "Why not? Go for five figures. Let's go for 10K. See what they say." Signed it, no questions asked. And again, the worst they can say is no. I'm also under contract on a house that's in pre-foreclosure in Morrison, here in Colorado. And kind of a similar thing, right? I was telling you, it was pretty new on the market. My buyer said, "Hey, I want to see it." It was kind of at the top of their price range. But I was like, you know what? Sure, why not? So gave the listing agent a call. She let me know the situation. We gave her an offer, which was exactly what she was asking for, and they accepted. There was a little bit of
Yep.
negotiation back and forth, but my buyers were happy with the terms. The seller's happy with the terms. And so ultimately, it's just making sure that those expectations are meeting, right? So
Yeah.
those deals are out there in any market. You just have to have somebody that's knowledgeable about what to look for and be willing to look for it, right? Because you're not going to win on every offer. We've struck out here and there, but just being patient and knowing what to look for.
Yeah, that's it. I think, at the end of the day, it's chances are it's not going to be one of these things that we've talked about that's going to get you that's going to get you the house, or is going to get you what you want. It's probably going to be a combination of all of these things. Like, maybe you find a property that has, been active, then pending, active, then pending, active, then pending, and you find that maybe it needs some renovations. And so you secure an FHA 203, a 203K loan, and that's what allows you to feel confident about the purchase of that property, the lender to feel confident about the purchase of that property, because they say, "Hey, look, we know that this isn't what it's going to look like later on. We're going to go ahead and make sure that this property is going to be in a little bit better shape." Or maybe it's something that you see a property is is in pre-foreclosure, and so you offer a quick closing. You say,
Mm,
you know exactly what they're looking for as far as you call the agent. You have a really handsome man working for you as far as your agent goes, and he calls the agent to really truly understand the circumstances of that listing, and from there he helps you write together an offer that closes quick at the exact amount that the sellers need. And so now you're able to get into a home, and while all of your friends are saying, "Oh man, this home buying process is so stressful," to keep writing off offer after offer after offer. You're not going through that process because you work with a guy who has great hair, incredible style, and is also able to just go the extra mile and understand what's needed to get an offer accepted. So, like I said, it's multiple things here that we're talking about to get an offer accepted, or to house hack, if you will. Um,
Mm,
but
yeah.
uh, but yeah, multiple things that you can do here to get what you're looking for.
Yeah, real quick on that. I was going to say, speaking of going the extra mile, it really is the little stuff, right? Talk to the other agent, ask them what their seller wants, be real nice, say please, say thank you, get the information, right? Because they represent their client just like you represent yours. So if you can satisfy their client's needs, you're probably going to get the deal, right? That being said, a lender that is willing to call a listing agent at 7:30 p.m. on on a weekend, hey, that might also be the winning offer right there because of that. In fact, that's what our very handsome Corey Martin has done for me on our offer. And that's a huge part of it. Like you said, it's a lot of little things that go together to make this beautiful whole that gets your offer accepted. And so having your lender reach out to the listing agent for your clients and say, hey, they're qualified, they're ready, I'm good to go. This is everything you're asking for, right?
Yep. Yeah, that's it. Doing that work on the front end to get the quick closing, saying, hey, we've qualified these borrowers already. They know, they've done all of the heavy lifting. So there's not going to be anything on our end, is from a borrower perspective or from a lending perspective, that's going to hold up this closing. And then the agent on their end, they know, hey, look, this property is fine. We've priced it at the appropriate amount, or there shouldn't be any issues with this inspection. So we should be able. A 3-week closing is doable. That's what we're talking about here. So
Yeah.
it's house hacking, but it's also just being a real estate professional. From your end, from our end, calling our eye, but then also to the listing agent as well.
Yeah. And so, with that aside, what does it look like to sell your home? What are some real estate hacks, if you will, that will get your home sold faster and for more money than everybody else? So, a couple of these are more topical, but here's the thing: I think the basics is really what serves you and your clients the best. Is when you just do the basics and you do them really well, right? Obviously, there are some nuances and things here and there that are different to every situation, but honestly, don't overlook the importance of good landscaping, right? When you pull up to a house, when you pull up that driveway for the first time and somebody says, wow, this is a nice looking house. They haven't seen the kitchen. They don't know what type of, countertops and flooring you have. They just think, hey, the outside looks nice, right? Clean siding, everything looks good, maintained well. The landscaping is done nicely. I mean, seriously, a well-maintained yard can increase a property's curb appeal, and overall value just because people kind of fall in love with the outside, right? And then doing proper renovations based on feedback from the people who have seen the house. So as soon as you get some showings, as soon as you get some people through, listen to what they're saying, call them, follow up. We have a software that automatically requests feedback from people as soon as we have them through the house. But having a personal call, talking to the agent saying, hey, what did you guys think? Like, give me your honest opinion. Let me know where they're at. Maybe they're not ready to put in an offer on that house, but ask them why, see what we could do better. Was there a weird smell? Were the colors okay? Obviously, I'm sure you've read a million different articles from different agents and lenders saying, do this for your spring trends in 2023. I'm not going to go through that stuff because again, they're just trends. They change all the time. But all the basics, right? If somebody has dark colors, I don't know, purple, black, everywhere in a house, and people are saying, we don't love the black right next to the hot pink. Maybe consider painting. Or if you have a huge statue of the former owner in the nude, and they're like, you know what? I know it's not going to stay with the house, but it kind of threw me off. Maybe consider moving that to storage. It's all the little things. Again, I know I'm kind of joking and being humorous here, but those are your potential clients, right? Those are people that could be putting in an offer. So if they're saying you should do something, you should probably listen to that. And Here's the last thing. I cannot believe I even have to mention this, but if you're selling a house and either you or your agent, for whatever reason, are not doing, you don't have a full marketing plan that includes professional photos, you're not doing it right. Okay. And here's what I mean by that. Not everything has to have like these 100-page brochures with glossy print and all that stuff, but do what you need to do to get the house sold in your area, right? It's hyper specific, it's hyper local. Tampa is not going to look like Denver, is not going to look like Evergreen, right? Different areas demand different things. But please, please, if I see any house, especially the ones over $1 million, but in my opinion, every house, no matter what the price is, if you do not have professional photos for your listing, you are not doing it right. You're just not. I mean, it's amazing how many listings I've seen over $1 million, especially that have iPhone photos or photos from like, I swear it's a Polaroid from like the 90s or the 80s. And I'm like, how am I supposed to know that's a kitchen when all I see is like shadows and graininess? Just get professional photos done. It's not that
Yeah.
expensive. It just, it makes the difference because here's one last thing. It's the first and potentially the only thing that your potential clients will see of your house. So if you don't have good photos, it's kind of like your first impression, right? It could make or
Yeah.
break the deal.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that it gives it lets people know what they're looking for. It's if Zillow is any one of the, online dating apps, if Trulia is any one of the online dating apps, then um, you know, old, grainy, bad photos is a great way to make sure that everybody's going to swipe left, right?
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
you're gonna get rejected because they're not seeing the best parts of you. They're not seeing. They don't even know what they're looking at, right? The iPhone photo is the equivalent of the grainy photo of you holding up a fish. Or no, the mirror selfie.
Yeah.
The picture of your home. Is the dating app equivalent of the mirror selfie, right? And so,
Mm.
we want to stay away from doing those cringeworthy things. And it's just, I think that's the baseline, right? That is the basics, the bare minimum
A bare
is
minimum. Yeah.
profession. Is professional photos. When an agent sells a home, they stand to make on the very minimum, you know, 3 grand or not 3 grand. I'm sorry, 3% on the listing, right? They can, and I never want to watch anybody's pockets or go into anybody's marketing budgets, but professional photos is the bare minimum part of that you can spend to make sure that you do right by your client. Um,
100%.
so yeah, that's it. Now, when we're talking about house hacks or just tips to real estate in general, what are some of your thoughts on real estate investing?
That's a very good question. I thought you'd never ask. Um, there's a lot to it. And I guess I should preface it with it depends on your goals, right? Different investors want different things. Different people have different tastes and stances. And usually, when it comes to investing, it comes down to money, right? How much are you willing to spend versus how much are you willing to get? And how much work are you willing to put in, right? Rehabbing a property, doing fix and flips, doing rentals, managing properties, doing all that stuff. None of it's easy. It just depends on what you're willing to put in again. So I guess my first thing would be is a lot of people want to get into real estate investing before they ever purchase a house, which I do understand, right? From a financial standpoint, okay. But we've said this time and time again. Always recommend getting a personal primary residence before ever putting money into an investment. Here's why: investments are riskier. Investments can be
Hmm.
expensive, and if you don't own your own house before you have an investment property, it's just hard to say that what's going on from a business perspective if you've never experienced it yourself, right? So I'd always recommend that first. Um,
Yeah.
Second of
Can,
all,
I'll, can I
yeah, go
just
ahead.
jump in there one more time? One time, from a lender perspective, it is next to impossible to find a lender who will give you money if you don't to give you money on an investment property if you don't already have your own primary residence.
Yep.
If they do, think about it. it's really, really hard to to get someone. The terms of that loan will be not very favorable.
Very
You
expensive is
know,
what he's saying.
there versus if you are able to have your own primary residence, you can get a little bit of a break there. You could also leverage your primary residence to get the investment property. You can't. I mean, I guess you can leverage the investment property to get your primary residence, but that process, that runway to do so, is a lot longer on the inverse,
Yes.
right? Um, and so yeah, there's definitely the opportunity to get money, to get loans if you don't have your primary residence, but the terms of those loans, it is much more difficult, and you're just making it a little bit harder on yourself. And one more thing, you are always going to have a primary living expense,
Mm,
primary residence expense,
yep.
whether you're renting or no matter what, you are always going to have that expense, and so you might as well just do the one that's going to allow you to grow, that's going to give you an asset versus
Pay yourself, man. Pay yourself.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, that's all right. I am now off of my soapbox.
Well, yeah, and on that too is like you can do, in my opinion, I think you can do a lot with your primary residence or your personal residence, wherever you're sleeping, right? As long as you own it. In a rental, you can't, rarely these days can you sublet or sublease properties. People are getting more and more strict about that just because of the liability. But in your own
Mhm.
place, I mean, it's your place, right? Other than your HOA and covenants and stuff, maybe neighbors, I don't know. You can do whatever you want. So rent out other
Yep.
rooms. Sleep on the couch, rent all the rooms. Go to your parents' house, rent out the, I don't know.
Yeah.
Don't commit like mortgage fraud or anything, by the way, but
Yep.
within
Occupancy
your legal
fraud. Thank you
bounds.
for jumping. Yes,
Yeah.
thank you for jumping on that, Kyle.
Yeah. Within your
But
legal
no,
bounds, do whatever you want.
yes, that's it. But that actually takes us to the next point on our list as far as like real estate investing, real estate tips for investing is go ahead and purchase a property that maybe has a separate entrance or maybe has a basement apartment or a mother-in-law suite or any of those things. But um, purchase a property and with the intention of renting out one of the rooms. If you can, right? If your lifestyle affords for that. If you are a husband and wife with 3 kids, and chances are, there's not many 6-bedroom homes in your area, so it's maybe a little bit harder to rent out, to buy a property with the intention of renting one out. But let's say you are a 24-year-old, 25-year-old, you know, just got that promotion that allows you to purchase a new home. Maybe you buy a condo or a townhome and you rent out one of the rooms to one of your buddies, and that pays for 50% of your mortgage,
Yep.
75%, all of your mortgage, and now you're able to pocket those funds, and while you're able to continue to build wealth through real estate.
Yeah, exactly. And then I don't know if this is too personal, but I'll share with everybody my plan. So it's getting into a place, it's kind of lower square footage. Maybe it's a little outdated, but functional, clean, whatever works. Higher bedroom count. So two, maybe three, in a condo or a townhouse that has a separate bathroom, right? So I can have my own space. I've got my own office. I work from home primarily anyway. And having a spot that you rent out, like you said, rent to a friend, rent to students in the area at a local school, rent to traveling nurses or anybody that is qualified. Offset your mortgage costs, because where else are you going to get like a 25, 50, 75% discount in rent anywhere, right? So not only is that money going to offset your monthly payments, but it's also going into essentially an account that's yours, right? So they're
Yeah,
really paying you. And so that's just something to consider, because like Corey said, you get a place that has a separate insurance, like a walkout basement or like a mother-in-law suite or whatever, and you don't even have to know they're there, but they're offsetting your cost with
yeah,
no skin off your back. So I think that's
yeah.
super cool. Another thing to consider is just
Oh, can we get
looking.
bunk beds, Kyle?
Oh yeah, anything to
Like,
save on my mortgage.
bunk bed. Oh, nice, nice. Can't wait, man.
Did we
Can't
just
wait.
become best friends?
Yes.
um, yeah, I mean, I look, some people are a little bit more picky about that kind of stuff. I don't really care. As long as I have a place to sleep, eat, and work, I'm good. So when it comes
Yeah.
to purchasing those properties, let's say you are buying it to rent it out, right? Consider purchasing a property with a separate entrance or a basement. But something that a lot of investors ask about is ARV, right? So after repair value. So when you go to buy it, when you go to look at places, you're looking to purchase it. Often investors will ask, what's the after repair value, the ARV? And so some of these places may not be in the best condition. Maybe it's flooring or painting, or maybe it's even a little bit dilapidated. Anything short of um, foundational structural repairs, right? That's again why I mentioned at the beginning, how much work are you willing to put into a property? Because not everybody has 50, 60, 70, even 30 grand to put into a property to make it livable again. And so very serious investors are usually willing to put more money into a repair for a greater return. But if we're just starting out, we may not be able to do that. Maybe we can paint on our own. Maybe we can get flooring or new countertops eventually. But those are expenses that have to come slowly. And so getting a place that's decently livable, but just outdated, right? New countertops, maybe a new bathtub, maybe it just needs to be cleaned really good. Put that sweat equity into it, right? Put some work into it, clean up the yard, landscape, do those things so that you can have a higher return, right? So maybe you're going to
Yeah.
buy that, live there, hold on to it, just increase the value. Or maybe it is a rental property. You buy something that's a little under market value just because of the condition. You put some sweat equity into it, put a little bit of money into it here and there, and then you either flip that or you rent that for a higher market rent than it would have fetched before. The other thing is tax advantages. So I won't go into too many details. I don't like to talk too much about financial advice just because I'm not
We
legally
are not
qualified.
financial advisors.
Yes, we have to say that. We have to say that. But as many of you may know, there are tax advantages, tax deductions for investors, not reducing, using those reductions. Oh my goodness. Using the deductions for mortgage interest, property taxes, and the depreciation. Again, talk to your tax advisor, talk to your accountant about stuff like that. But those are possible that people don't know about because there aren't a ton of tax deductions for renting. Are there some? Yeah, a couple, but not nearly as many. The other thing is a real estate investment trust. So this is I wouldn't say completely separate, but it's not like you going and buying a property and doing all that stuff. Because, granted, that's a lot of work, right? Managing a property, purchasing a property, it can be a lot of work. So, investing in a REIT, as they're called, a real estate investment trust, REIT, is a good way to diversify your real estate portfolio without the hassle of managing properties or dealing with that. And so, I'm not going to go too deep into that one either. But essentially, it's like you investing in real estate without ever having to deal with it. The other thing is, again, I think it's just the foundational stuff, researching your local market, right? Know your area better than anybody else, and you can make better decisions than anybody else. So researching the local rental market, if you're going to purchase a rental property, whether that be a short-term rental like Airbnb, VRBO, or more long-term, or if it's a fix and flip, right? Get the ARV, get the true value of that home in its current condition. Because the last thing you want to do is buy a property, put a lot of money into it, and then realize you can't sell it or rent it for what you thought you could. So making sure that you do your research ahead of time and becoming the expert on that house and your investment is essential.
Yeah.
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 That's that. Those are all things
That's
that I
that.
wanted to hear. Those are all the things that I use. So if y'all got any other tips, let us know. I'm sure there are some
Yeah.
seasoned real estate investors out there. Drop it below.
Yeah. Put it in the comments. Reach out to us. Maybe schedule a meeting with us and let us know, via the meeting, like where we messed up or what are some of the most important tips that you've used over your career that the people need to know about.
Yeah. And again, if you have any questions about real estate, want anything answered about investing, purchasing, or selling a home or refinancing, let us know. Not only do we work in Colorado, but we have partners everywhere outside. So again, I'm Kyle Wong with Moxie Colorado. You got questions, give us a call using the link in the description.
Yeah, I'm Corey Martin with Edge Home Finance here in Denver, Colorado. If you have questions about personal finance, real estate, youth football, uh, the color combination of blue and yellow and the different ways it goes together, give me a call. Give me a call. Thanks.
Hmm. Thanks, guys.